In this video, we will be learning about cyber ethics. The first concept in cyber ethics is netiquettes. Netiquette is a combination of internet and etiquettes. So we should show some etiquettes while working on internet. So this is a new concept. It means that we have to behave very decently while in the cyber world. While posting on comments on websites, there are certain rules, like we should not post inflammatory or offensive comments online, which is known as flaming. We should respect others' privacy. We should not post others' photographs, images, videos that they don't want to be published online. We should not send spam mails. Spam mails mean unsolicited, unwanted mails. We should not criticize or troll peoples in different websites, different forums, or different platforms. We should not share irrelevant links, like there is a YouTube video, like my YouTube video are based for education purpose. And if somebody comes there and post a link about soap or post a link about any games, so that is irrelevant comment. So we should not do it. We should help others by replying the answers. Suppose somebody asks a question on a forum that tell me something about robots. So if somebody knows the answer and he can answer it. And we should thank everyone who helps us in cyber world. Another concept in cyber ethics is software licenses. Each type of software has a specific type of license also, because whenever we write code, we reuse the code. So all software code comes with certain rights and obligations. Generally, there is a category free and open source software that is free of cost, and there is another category proprietary software that is generally not free. That is, you have to purchase the software. The main categories for software licenses are public domain, permissive, LGPL, copyleft, and proprietary software. This public domain software license category is the most permissive type of software license. When software is in the public domain, anyone can modify and use the software without any restrictions, without any obligations. But you should always make sure that it's secure before adding it to your own code base. Like you might have seen Android. Android has become so popular, and each company has its own version of Android because they can add to it. And Microsoft gave Windows phones, and that was proprietary category, and that was not available to change. The code was available only to the programmers who developed it, only to the company which developed it. Another category of software license is permissive license. They are also known as Apache style or BSG style. These type of software license require minimal requirements about how the software can be modified or redistributed. Then we have another category, LGPL, the GNU Lesser General Public License. It allows us to link to open source libraries in the software. If we simply compile or link the LGPL license library with our own code, we can release our application under any license we want, even a proprietary license also. Another category is copyleft licenses. These are also known as reciprocal licenses or restrictive licenses. These licenses allow us to modify the licensed code and distribute new works based on it. Suppose we have developed another software, we can add to it and we can distribute with the same restrictions and with the same adaptations. In all types of software licenses, it is the most restrictive, because the idea behind it is that all rights are reserved. It's generally used for proprietary software where the work may not be modified or redistributed. The code and all the rights are available with the company who developed it, which has developed it. There is an open source software movement. It led to the development of free softwares Open source softwares. Open source software category means we can inspect it, modify or enhance it. The most relevant example you can see is Android. Why Android became popular? It was open source. Companies developed the softwares and they released in the market. You can see there are different versions of mobiles. Each company has its own version of Android. Each company develops a new interface for its mobile, and we use different kinds of mobiles, but the common software is Android. But the Microsoft gave Windows that was available only for Microsoft company. The code was available only to Microsoft. They developed Windows on their own. It was proprietary software. So the basic difference between open source and proprietary is that open source, the code source is available, programmers can change it, and for proprietary software, the code source is not available. In open source software, authors make its source code available to others who would like to view that code, copy it, learn from it, alter it, or share it. Examples of open source are LibreOffice, OpenOffice org, GNU Image Manipulation Program, GIMP, we say. And in proprietary softwares, we can have examples of Adobe softwares, Microsoft softwares, Adobe Photoshop, Microsoft Office. Another topic is intellectual property rights. It means, suppose we have developed any poem, poetry, or any literary work or any artistic work, so that is our property. That is our intellectual property. Intellectual property is protected by patents, copyrights, and trademarks, which enables people to earn recognition for financial benefit, and we should avail these services, like we should avail patents, copyrights, or trademarks wherever required, so that nobody can use our intellectual property. Plagiarism, which is very common these days. People write something or they produce any work and somebody else copies it, control C, control V, and put their name. Suppose Mr. A wrote a poem and Mr. B copied it, and before Mr. A could publish it online, Mr. B published it online under the name of Mr. Publish B. So this is simple a plagiarism. It is considered as academic dishonesty, and there are certain rules which can include just penalty, suspension, expulsion from school or work. Intellectual property Intellectual property rights also can exist in digital property, such as pictures, music, movies, literary works, web pages, computer code, and other creative works. Freedom of information. It means that we can publish information, we can consume information. Generally, a freedom of information refers to a citizen's right to access that is held by the government. In many countries, this freedom is supported as constitutional right. Digital divide. It's a very good concept. Digital divide means that in society there are two types of categories. One which has access to internet, computers, mobiles, tablets, and another part they do not have any access to these kinds of digital devices, internet also. So this creates a gap or a divide between two groups. This is called digital divide. E-commerce is very common these days, and there are certain issues with e-commerce. One issue is privacy. Privacy is very important because companies have the data about their account holders, and people buy the goods, they pay through credit cards, debit cards. The company like Amazon or Flipkart, they should maintain the privacy of data. They should not leak data which they are holding in their computers. Frauds, it is very common these days. uh, you might have heard or read in the newspaper that a particular company is selling data. So the companies like Amazon, Flipkart, they have our data. When we create accounts, we give the details, and when we purchase goods, we give the information about credit card, debit card also. So the hackers, they are interested in gaining these details. So these kinds of frauds are very common these days. Hackers, they generally do, either they use the data themselves or they sell this data to thieves who will make fraudulent transactions. Secure data transmission. It means that whatever transactions we are doing online, it should be secured. It should not. It should be free from any kind of hacking or any kind of intrusion. So we have certain techniques. One technique is encryption. The most common email encryption is called PKI, and let's understand it in a very simple way. Suppose there is a text ABC, and there is an algorithm that each character is changed by adding plus two character. Means A becomes D, B becomes E, and C becomes F. So it is the easy algorithm, but algorithms are very different. They are randomly generated. So the person who knows about the algorithm, he can decode the information. Otherwise, the information cannot be decoded. There are two uh, techniques for secure transaction. The one is steganography. It is efficient technique to provide secure data transmission over the network. As the number of users increase effectively, the cryptography is also used to provide security to data over network. In cryptography, encryption is the process of encoding information. This concept which I have told you, the information is coded, and that is known as ciphertext. Only authorized persons can decipher or decode the text back to original. So that's all about cyber ethics in this video. Thank you and take care.